Hi everyone, welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons series, part 47. Last episode we went ahead and decorated the front of my house. In this episode we are going to go ahead and complete the rest of the designing. I'm not really sure if we can design a pretty huge area, but I'm going to pick out a single area for each of my episode which I think we can go ahead and complete. Like the last episode where we did actually complete the front of my house. Anyway, it seems like we do have a campsite visitor today, which is pretty surprising, but I'm pretty excited to see who it's gonna be. If you're wondering why we are seeing a campsite visitor after seeing one, I think in the last episode, that would be because I have been playing this game a bit offline, and I think it was around 7 days, so we have another campsite visitor. But here we are. Let me quickly go ahead and check out my mailbox where we have an artifact that we did buy in the last episode. Now, to be honest, this has been around 2 to 3 weeks since I did actually record this video, so I'm not really sure what I did in this one. So I guess we both are gonna go ahead and see what I actually did. Right now, I'm still working on this series. There are still a couple of areas where I haven't yet designed. But most of the island has been designed and I'm pretty excited to show that to you guys in the upcoming episodes. Anyway, I guess I quickly went ahead and completed a task from Reading Nook Miles. And we could, I guess, complete another one. But unfortunately, I found out that I can't actually see my house when I try to take a photo of it. This is quite surprising and definitely not something I actually wanted to happen. But I guess my house is pretty hidden with all of these trees. Maybe I can actually go ahead and cut down some trees in the future to at least have the entrance of the house, displayed. But until then, this is how it's gonna look in front of my house. The first thing I'll do is just show around the island where I have actually made more improvements. And the first thing is this area right here. I think we did this one in the last episode as well, so I just went ahead and made some more changes. There are a couple more new items that I did place, and now that the tree is completely grown, this is how it looks right here. I also added a few outdoor furnitures to kind of make it look good. But here we have it. While looking around my island, I feel like there aren't enough inclines to kind of access all of the cliff. So I might have to find more of those creeper vine kind of items and hang them on the cliff to kind of access these. Anyway, here is another one I did. The design right here is not completed. But I did go ahead and plant some trees as well as shrubs around here. I think the campsite looks pretty good. I had to actually make sure most of these trees would actually grow. But I do have a really good idea for my campsite. And at some point we're going to go ahead and work on it. It seems like we once again have red on our island, which is surprising. We have a campsite as well as red both at the same time. But this area right here, I actually do not have any idea on what to design. This cliff does not really have anything on top of it. Initially, I was planning to have a villager's house here, but we only get 10 villages, so I guess we really don't have anything to do here. Maybe I'll be able to, display a really good item such as the pyramid, which I have in my storage. But for now, let me quickly go ahead and design this small area right here. Offline, I did place some of those items, the Ragoon statue as well as the evergreen ash. I think the evergreen ash is a really good item, and for some reason I never found it in my previous islands. I am not sure if this is an item that was added in the recent update, but for some reason I never had it and I'm so excited having this item. I think I'll go ahead and order a bit more from Nook Stop so I'll be able to use them all around my island. I'm still hoping for the cactus or the pine tree, which for some reason my game is not generating. I mean, I'm not really sure why. It does generate the trucks or any of the other vehicles as well as the castle wall, but never generates the cactus or the pine tree, which I really wish that it actually did. Anyway, I guess all we can do is just go back and forth, time travel a bit more to see if it does generate that item. Now that I did actually decorate that small area, I realized that I don't really have any more shrubs. I need more of that, definitely. Maybe I'll be able to kind of visit Harvey's Island today and buy some more. I feel like no matter how many shrubs I buy, I still end up kind of planting all of them, and in the end of the day I still have to go back to Harvey's Island. I really wish that I at this point would have just gone ahead, bought around 100 of the shrubs and kept them in the storage, which for some reason I am not doing. Definitely that is gonna continue. I'm still gonna struggle not finding shrubs and go back and forth to Harvey's Island, but either way I think it's still pretty good. As for the paintings, I actually bought this one. The flower painting right there is actually, I think, a real one. I don't think it has a fake version, so I just went ahead and bought it. As for the other items, I think it's still pretty good. But of course, we did complete the Nook Mile task for it as well, which I think is really good. Anyway, now that we have that done, I guess I could still go ahead and continue designing my island. Right here, I was just checking out the stone arc. I wanted to kind of keep it much closer to his ship, to kind of have it as an entrance to his ship. The next thing I did was stop at Nook's Cranny to see what we have today. And the only item I'm interested in is this ceiling fan, which I think is a really good item for the front room. Maybe at some point I'll come back and buy it. As usual, I do not have enough bells in my pocket, which by the way I don't really like to keep too much, since sometimes if you have more than 99,000 bells, it will actually cover up your pocket space, which I really don't want. But either way, let me look around and see what I will be inspired with and which place I can actually go ahead and design today. Well, this reminds me, I actually decorated this part of my island as well. Right here is the kind of outward part of my island which goes to the sea, and I think I had filled it with a lot of shrubs. All I did is move them to the side of the cliff right here. This will serve both the purpose of designing the island as well as preventing any of the rocks from generating around here. But here are all of the shrubs that was over there. My great plan for this area is to kind of have a lighthouse as well as a walking area. I do have a lighthouse ordered, but I'm not really sure where I want to place it, whether it's right here on this pathway or on the stones that are behind. Either way, I guess we'll check that out when I am designing this part of the island. Now offline, I went ahead and visited Harvey's Island to buy more shrubs and decided to go ahead and time travel to the next day. So here we are. If you're wondering about the campsite villager, yes, I completely forgot about that villager, and no, I do not have any idea on who it was. Sadly, we'll never know. I didn't realize this until I actually came on to the game itself, and then I was just, oh my god, I forgot the villager. But it happens sometimes. Anyway, we'll check out the next time we do get a villager. I guess I'll do that first thing when I do visit the island. As usual, I went ahead and checked out the mailbox for today, and we don't really have anything in particular, so I'll go ahead and I guess try to find a place where I can actually design my island. Before that, let's quickly open up this present, which is another painting which I did buy yesterday. The first thing I did is go ahead, check out the items in the shop. All of them were like older items, so I didn't really want to buy them. I did make my way next to museum, and right here when I did visit the cafe, it was actually the 31st time I'm actually visiting it. So we do get a special item from Brewster right here, which is pretty cool. Alright, I guess we have two more items to get from Brewster, which I think I'm pretty excited. After all, we do get a gyroid with Brewster's kind of head, which is something I'm actually trying to get. Anyway, here we are in front of Freya's house. I did decide to go ahead and design this area in today's episode. After all, we have designed till Nook's cranny, and the next thing for me to do is obviously design this cliff and then the backside of Nook's cranny. Let's see if we can actually complete it within this episode. I definitely do plan on having a couple of trees around her house, and I'm just gonna plant a variety of fruits. Initially, I did want to plant cedar trees, but I realized that we have used a lot of them in your campsite. So I think it's better to go ahead and use a fruit tree in the other sides of my island. While designing, the first thing for me is to go ahead and plant some trees. This will kind of help me design around the trees and see how much space I have for the other outdoor items. Definitely want to have a kind of small pool right next to her house. I think I have a perfect item for that as well. But before I do anything, I think I'll go ahead and have a path, especially since I do have all the trees planted around it. As for the path, I think I'll go with the lighter one, just because we have been using the dark green pattern around the entrance of the island. I do have 3 different paths, by the way, and I am planning to kind of use all of these 3 intermittently, just to make sure that we don't really have the same kind of path all around my island. Now, I did see an item called silo in the Nook stop, and I definitely want to actually use it around here. Maybe we'll be able to use it on the main island, not this upper cliff right here. Now, this is just a plan that I have in my mind. I'm not really sure if I'm gonna end up using it, but I do feel like I need to kind of order it from the Nook stop just to make sure I have that item on hand, in case if I do decide in the future to use it. I think you might have seen me buying a lot of furnitures, and the main reason for that is the same. I might not use it at the moment when I buy it, but I feel like I might use it at a later stage, and at that point, if I don't have the item, it's a bit difficult for me to wait for it, so I usually order the item. Right here, I went to pop a balloon gift. Unfortunately, it fell into the water down and I actually lost it. I think that was the first time that has happened. Usually, I make sure that I do get the present before I pop it, but right there, I underestimated the spot and unfortunately, I lost that gift. Right here, I decided to go ahead and use this square bathtub. I think it's a really cool item and would look super nice right here. I also customized this to have the green moss all around it, and I think this definitely does fit Freya's house as well. So we're gonna have it right here. It's an item you could actually have indoors as well, but I think it works pretty well right next to a house. The next thing I wanted to do is place a lock chair around here. Although I'm not really sure if I will be able to use it as an item, so I did actually take it back. Maybe once we do have the trees fully grown, I'll be able to come back here and place both the chair as well as, I guess, any kind of log stool that I might have in my storage. As for now, this is the path to Freya's house and I think it looks super cool. Other than the tree itself, I think I'll be able to design the other part of this small rivulet over here. And let me quickly go ahead and place some shrubs as well as some other items. As for the wooden fence kind of thing, I guess it's called wooden partition, that you might have seen that there. I do have to customize it. It is currently in pink color and I don't think pink color does suit this area. I'll go ahead and customize it to dark brown or a light brown in color and see if that works. But of course, for customizing, I usually like to go to Harvey's Island since I do have multiple tasks over there. I could actually customize it in my own house, but I don't think I have the customization kit available. Probably I do have to buy it from Nook's Granny, which will again take more time. Either way, I went ahead and placed this plant partition over here. I think it's a really great item to have right here. But after placing it, I realized that I won't be able to cross to the other side. And I haven't really decorated it over there either. Let me quickly go ahead and decorate this side before I move on. As for this side, mostly I decided to go ahead and plant some starters as well as the small rock right here. Other than that, we still have a couple of spaces which I'm planning to go ahead and plant some flowers. If you remember, when I did start, cleaning up my island to have this 5-star island design, I had moved out all of my flowers to the beach. So it's finally time for me to go ahead and use them. I did use all of the flowers in the left side beach of my island. So the only ones that are left are from this right side. As you can see, there are a lot of them, but I think it's a bit difficult for me to actually use these. Unlike the flower seeds that we get, which is something that we get in 5 bulk, but this one I have to carry each one. It actually takes more space from my pocket, and I feel like it takes me way too long for me to go ahead and carry them around as well as plant them. But of course, I really can't do anything else. I mean, I could sell them, but using them is a better way for me rather than selling them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to use these. As for behind of Freya's house, we do have a waterfalls here, and I don't really have any particular plan of accessing the waterfalls. And that's the reason why I placed some shrubs as well as a fence over there. Either way, that's all on Freya's house for today's episode. Unfortunately, the trees are not yet grown, so I do have to wait for that. We'll come back to Freya's house in the next episode and try decorating more over there. For now, I decided to go ahead and use a evergreen ash over here. It is the perfect spot for this item. But like I said, I actually wanted to place silo over here. Hopefully, I'll be able to actually do that in the future. For now, I'll go ahead and place evergreen ash as well as 2 fence. This one is actually the log wall fence, and I think it looks super cute. There we go. That's all on designing, but I do have a lot of items to actually craft, which I think I'll go ahead and do in this episode before we end it out. I definitely have all of the items that I need to craft these, but I never really wanted to craft them because having too much items is not going to help me for my pockets. Either way, since we have cleared out quite a few items from my pocket today, I think it's time for me to go ahead and craft some of these. Most of these DIY recipes are not something I was actually planning to use on my island, but unfortunately the items that I really need I have never found, so I decided to go ahead and use whatever I have in my inventory. I think that would mean just using random items and see which one actually fits. At some point, I'll go ahead and time travel a bit behind, maybe a month or so, and see if I can find any newer DIY recipes. If I do, I'll go ahead and show you guys all the DIY recipes at once in one of my episodes. I have been planning this for quite some time, but unfortunately, I have been just busy recording all of these videos that I did not get the time to time travel back. So we are gonna go ahead and use all the DIY recipes that I have for now. Anyway, in between, apparently Ace wanted to check out my house, which is the first time he's actually coming, so I didn't have the heart to kind of tell him to go away. So we are just gonna entertain him for a bit and then ask him to leave. Usually I'm not too bothered when my villagers do visit my house. But today, after all, we are crafting all of these items and I really want to get this done before the end of this episode. So I think it justifies the fact of just asking him to leave. I also need to decorate my house. I mean, This is something I have had on my list for quite some time now, and I haven't really done that yet. I definitely do have to work on it. Also, I did find the recipe for the silo in my DIY list. For some reason, I actually bought it before and I completely forgot about it. Maybe I'll be able to actually craft it today since we do have all of the items for it. But of course, back to designing my house. Definitely one of these episodes, I'll go ahead and completely remodel my house, change up all of these items that are here in each of these rooms, and I'll go ahead and give you guys a tour of my house. That is definitely an exciting topic for the future. Anyway, as usual, my storage is full. I should have planned this one a bit more better and just stored all of my items in the storage before I did any crafting, but I really like to make stuff difficult for me and I just decided to not put my items in the storage. Anyway, in between I decided to go ahead and actually use some of the items that I have crafted. The first thing I did was remove this extra tree from here because I think it's not really needed. I do have a couple of log chairs which will actually look really good. The first one is the log sofa and the other one is the log chair. I also want to have a small, I guess a log table, but the one that I really have right now, I don't think it will actually suit for this one, so I definitely can't use it. Maybe I'll be able to use some other item that I have in my storage. In this case, I decided to go with this campfire. This one looks pretty good. Maybe I do have to push it a bit inward. There we have it. I mean, I still need a bit more space for me to run around here and have a path created. Maybe I'll be able to work on this one in the next episode as well. Right here I decided to move my tree, but if you see when I'm planting, I did plant a nursery cedar. For some reason I forgot that I had a tree that was actually growing and used another one, but I think it's still pretty fine. It might take a day more for me to go ahead and have all the trees completely grown, but I think we'll be able to make it work. As for the items right next to the campsite, I think we are pretty good with this one. I just need to plant one more flower over here, and I think once that is done, it will actually look pretty good. There we go. At some point I will go ahead and make a path right here that will actually lead from the log stairs to the campsite, and once that's done, it will definitely look way better than this. As for the other items, I'll go ahead and use the log bench as well. I think I have a perfect space for it. I'll go ahead and place it right here, right next to the waterfalls. This will be a really good place for anyone who wants to kind of rest up and take a really good photo. I think it will look really good right next to the waterfalls itself. There we go. Maybe I'll be able to have a stone path that's leading to this log bench. As for this waterfalls, I decided to go ahead and keep the bamboo noodle slide right here. I mean, after all, we are right next to a waterfalls and I think it's a really good item to have. Maybe at some other point in the future, if I do plant a tree around here, I'll actually move this one. But for now, we will have this item right here. Now you might see me struggling with this item, and that's because I wanted to actually turn it around and wasn't able to do that. I guess we actually have a limited space over here and won't be able to move the item itself. Anyway, I'll actually figure it out later. Maybe when I am designing this part, I'll be able to place it properly in its new place. As for this episode, that's all I had for the designing. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. In the next episode, we'll continue designing both the campsite as well as Freya's house. I'll also make sure that all the trees that I did plant will be fully grown so that we can go ahead and completely design that area. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you'd like to support me more on Patreon, check out the links in my description. And I'll see you guys in the next one.